Hey guys, welcome to Roadie 7 with Shuts and Boom, Season 2, Episode 14. I am Shuts.
I'm Boom.
What's going on, bro?
Nothing much. It's lovely weather.
Oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Oh, it makes me so sad.
You got a game.
I got a game, got transferred over. It's going to be a cold one tomorrow night.
I'm actually going to be outdoors as well for about the same amount of time. I'm going to be checking out some high school football myself in the city of Fremont. So I'll be outside. I won't be running like you, but I'll be out there in the elements.
It's going to be cool. Got a class reunion this weekend. Looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We didn't make any reservations, so it's going to be interesting how we're going to fit into that bar. But
so you like playing roulette?
Yes. Well, that's what Nebraska's doing this weekking.
Are they really?
Yes, it's quite a gamble.
Playing? Or is playing the gamble? Or is the weather the gamble? I mean, they're going to be...
We'll get to it in the show. This is going to be a very intriguing matchup and huge, words of Donald Trump, not that we're political, but huge implications for both schools.
You are a fan of aquatics, correct?
Somewhat.
You like being in the water when it's nice outside.
Yeah.
Do you like ships? Do you like boats?
I'm not rowing one.
You're not going to row a boat? Okay.
I'm not going to row a boat.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I know where you were going with it. I caught on.
Just in case. Okay.
I caught on. I don't row boats around here.
You don't?
I sink them.
Okay.
That's what Nebraska's hoping to do this weekend, is sink a boat.
Or two.
Who's your bottom of the barrel this week?
The Pac-12.
Okay.
That's it. The entire Pac-12. Oregon State beat you know what? UCLA is all three. Oregon State. Tyjon Lindsey burned UCLA last weekend.
Yeah, Chip may be in trouble.
Might be. You're talking about, I mean, no, he's not the head man there, but you're talking about Riley's boys. The Riley bunch beat UCLA.
Oh, God.
And I want to say they were in L.A.
I want to say that, hey, Scott, you might want to rethink this whole offensive scheme and how great it is. Ordeal.
You think?
I don't want to go down that road. I shouldn't have opened my mouth on that one. I think that Scott's is a hybrid of what he learned at Oregon. I think it's found its pitfalls. Chip Kelly's showing that. It's a unique offense. It certainly is. It can score a lot of points. But if you don't have the horses across the board to do it.
See, that's the thing, though. Year two, were my expectations of Chip Kelly too high? Just like my expectations of Scott Frost might have been too high.
We warned about Scott Frost, though.
Shouldn't Chip Kelly? I mean, I know he's been around the block and he's been a coach, but he's also walking into a situation where his team was not even near equipped to run the style of offense he wanted to run. Did he have athletes in L.A.?
Well, I think
sure.
They have athletes there. I don't know. That offense, I've always... Scott hit on it when he got hired, that if you blend the two, old school Nebraska with this new scheme that Chip did and he learned at Oregon, how beautiful it could be. And in principle, it's a reminiscence of an Urban Meyer offense where he spreads you out and he's got talented run. I get it, but the whole I don't know. The Chip Kelly experiment, as I'm calling it, in UCLA it appears to be a complete failure. I just don't know. I think like anything when it comes to football, it's regional. I've always believed that in what you're doing. Players are players. You can get them across the country. There is certainly a lot more parity.
You know what's not regional? A strong running game. That can win anywhere.
It certainly can. It's just it's so hard and disciplined to do. It takes so much longer to develop. Look at what Georgia Tech's going through. Not that Paul Johnson was a world beater, but Georgia Tech was a pretty well respected in the ACC, what he did there. Now, I know that's a triple option game. That's really reserved for the academies only now. But it was a strong running game, and it'd wear you down, grind you down. Let's get this to the fourth. Now, if you took that strong running game and threw it at Alabama, oh, by the way, they do that. Oh, my God, look out, you're hard to beat. Clemson, the same thing. I'm not over here pro-run, don't pass. I really worry about this whole basketball on grass theory. You know, Mike Leach puts up a lot of points at Washington State, loses a lot of football games too. Wins a lot, loses a lot.
How much would he win in the Big Ten?
Oh.
How much would his offense win? I mean, how well? Now, there were a couple of times where he did torch Nebraska, but how often was Texas Tech like world beaters, say in November when they were playing against a Missouri or a K-State?
He was the only coach to actually go to a bowl game every year the Big 12 was around and they were in it. He was the only one. Not Nebraska, not Oklahoma, not Texas.
I'm just saying, if his offense was trying to play in the
it's
Big
an equalizer offense. It's a gamble offense. It's designed on, we don't have the horses to match you pound for pound. We're going to open it wide gaps in the line. We're going to zip the ball all over the place, and hopefully we'll break a couple. We'll wear you down to where it's a shootout, and we'll see who wins the shootout. We've equalized it. That's what it is.
All right, so I've got UCLA as my bottom three, all three.
Right.
Who do you have in your bottom three?
UCLA is one of them.
Who's your bottom of the barrel? So UCLA.
Rutgers, and I would have to throw in, oh God, on the spot, if I have to choose a third, I don't know.
How about Purdue?
Yeah, but I can.
Or is that circumstantial? You feel bad because they're missing their horses?
Well, I think that his, again, you want to talk about, we were just talking about, high-flying, throw it all over the place offense. That's what he does, and when you don't have your best horses in the stable, you're going to have a problem. They could go, and you know what, for argument's sake, we'll throw Purdue in there right now. I don't know, generally speaking, teams that try to air raid in the Big Ten run into quite some problems. In the old Big 8 they did. Different when it became the Big 12. The Pac-12 is a passing conference. They run, but it's a passing conference.
Pro style.
It's a pro style. I don't know. The game's evolved so much that you have to be able to pass. You can't just be the days of Nebraska running 80 run plays in a game are over.
Yes.
But with that, you've got to walk a fine line where you have to have a running element with you. I think that this weekend's a prime example for Nebraska. So I you know what, I would throw Purdue in there. That's a good point. I never really looked at it that way because they lost their two horses. But I think that they're up Schitt's Creek, to be quite honest.
I know neither one of us thought they were going to be world beaters this year, but did either of us think reaching the midway point of this season that they would be a one-win team?
No, I did not see that.
I didn't see them even maybe at 500, but I did not see them only having one dub this far into the season.
I didn't. There's been some surprises. Minnesota, as much as I rag on the guy, I didn't see Minnesota at 5-0.
Minnesota didn't see Minnesota 5-0.
No, I didn't see him at 5-0.
You see the meme? You see the meme that's out there right now?
I did not.
Okay, you've got a gopher dressed up as the Grim Reaper with blood coming out of the doors of every opponent that they've had next, and it says something along the lines of knock, knock, and it's got the N on the door. Talk about a football program and fan base that can't recognize that they have literally defeated Cupcake U 5 times this year and been lucky to win 5. We know at least 2 games, if not 3 games, they probably should have lost.
Well, I think that you can. We watched a couple together, personally together.
First 3 or 4 weeks, we watched them
the
play.
Purdue game, and I'm not 5-0. You can't. It's not all luck. It's a good amount, but you have. Listen, any team, Clemson, Alabama. I'm going to give them this due. I'll give them this. Somewhere along the lines, if you're a championship caliber team or a good team, you're going to have some luck go your way. You just are. Look, I'll give you a prime example. Look at Clemson versus North Carolina. Now, I think if you line them up next week, that's a blowout game. But somewhere in there, you have a little bit of luck that comes along.
But I've been saying that. I mean, we've had this discussion. I don't know if we have on air. The thing is, we talk so much football, Shutsy,
all the time,
that I never remember what I actually disclose on the air and what I don't. So I'm sorry for those of you who listen to us, whether I'm being repetitive here. Minnesota has been a team this year.
The ball's gone their way.
The ball has bounced their way every damn time in all of those close games, and many of them have been. They only have one blowout win, and that was against Illinois last week.
Nebraska? You want to talk shoulda, coulda, woulda? Nebraska should have blown them out too. Illinois' only touchdowns were off of it. They're susceptible to turnover. We'll get to that. We will. Purdue, though, I watched that Purdue game. Watched a half of it. When Sindelar and Moore went down, the dynamic of that game completely changed. And they went down on the same damn play. I don't know. And even so, Minnesota walked out with a touchdown win. They stay in the game, I don't know. Now, Purdue's defense is atrocious. It's bad. Their offense, pretty good. Brom's pretty good at it. Minnesota's an interesting case because momentum, I said this last week, is a hell of a thing. It is a hell of a thing. Once you get things rolling, get going, start to feel good. This game's going to be I don't know that I respect Minnesota to punch and punch and punch and punch. If this turns into a bruise fest, if they can do it or not.
I I feel you, but I feel the same way about Nebraska.
They've had a couple of more knockdown dragouts. I mean, that was a physical game last week. Should Nebraska came down to the wire a little too close for comfort? The offense sputtered way too much. Sure, but tip of the cap to Northwestern. You want to talk about surprises? There's a team. Did you expect them to be a 1-win team? No, not at this point. Not
a 1-win team, but I want to say that you might have called it before the season started that they were going to be a bad football team. Actually, you might have picked them to. Did you pick them to finish last in the West?
I thought they were going to be. I didn't think they were going to go bowling. Let's put it that way.
Right.
I didn't think they were going to go bowling, but they always come on defense. Not to say that Nebraska should have only won 13-10 in the final seconds. It was a cool game to be at. It was very strange. It's wild. I just think that when it comes to close games, you brought this up, Minnesota does pull it out somehow, some way. Now, I will say that 3 of those close games came against far inferior opponents.
Well, like I said, Cupcake U.
Yeah.
Their whole little meme that was really cute that they put out, they have played Cupcake U all year.
But you know what? In their defense, if they beat Nebraska, are they still Cupcake U? Is Nebraska a cupcake? Being fair, I don't think Nebraska's a cupcake.
They're not a cupcake. I wouldn't say if Nebraska were to lose this game, I don't know if I would say that Nebraska's a very good team. I mean, they're still going to have a winning record if they lose on Saturday. But would I consider them a very good team? Debatable.
Yeah.
Debatable.
There's a lot riding for both these programs. So who's riding high in the country for you?
LSU, Florida, 2 teams that are going to take each other on this
Florida.
week.
I did not see Florida beating Auburn. I did
not
see
either.
That.
We both swung and missed on that one.
Yeah.
We both did because we both had them picked, and probably for our pick 'em as well. I know that I had Auburn winning that football game. Florida has surprised me this year because they're doing this without their starting quarterback. That's a backup that's winning them football games, and they're winning convincingly. They're not running away from everybody, but they're playing tough football, and they're winning. They're winning football games. What matters at the end of the day? Throw Minnesota back into the mix here. What matters at the end of the day? W's. Doesn't matter how they happen. Doesn't matter how pretty it looks. Just win, baby.
That's true. I just have seen too many. This is the time of year. This whole month is the time of year where, Separation Saturday. This is the month where we start to separate those that Nebraska's been 7-0 a few times in the last 10 years. 6-0, 7-0.
Those were cute.
Yeah, and then we get into late October, you get into November, we grind, and then we see who's who.
That's what makes this weekend so great, though. You've got the Red River rivalry or the Red River Shootout. Okay, you've got Texas, Oklahoma. You've got
Florida,
LSU, and for my amusement alone, you've got Notre Dame, USC, which is a rivalry game. They play each other every year. I believe Notre Dame is favored big, as they should be. There is a lot of great. It's going to be hard. Yes, I'm going to be watching Nebraska, Minnesota. It's going to be hard for me to keep my attention on that game alone. I'm not sure what kickoff times are for all these. I'm almost willing to guarantee that Florida LSU game is going to be at night in the Bayou on ABC while we're on Fox Sports 1. It's going to be hard for me to keep my attention on one football game because for the first time this year, there are multiple matchups that just scream, please watch me.
I think my riding high is Florida.
Florida's playing great football right now.
Wisconsin.
And they're easy to forget, which we shouldn't. I shouldn't because we play in their division in the Big Ten.
And I think that Notre Dame. I mean, you could throw Clemson and Alabama. Clemson last week, but you could throw Alabama in there. But my 3, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, and Florida. LSU too. You could throw out Notre Dame and throw LSU in there too. There's a few. It's going to be an interesting matchup.
This weekend, you're going to have separation between men and boys.
These are the weeks. October always is in college football where we separation Saturday.
October is great because of October baseball.
Well, sure. Yeah, baseball.
For me, I'm a baseball geek.
I could fall asleep watching it. Don't mind officiating. Don't mind going to the games, watching it on TV.
It's okay. I mean, it is a thinking man's sport.
Okay, here we go. We're not going to go down this road of snooze fest baseball.
I'm just giving you shit, Shutsy.
All right, let's run through the top 25. Boom.
I don't like cardio, man. Can we walk through it?
I'm gonna throw you through the top 25.
Of a bitch.
Virginia, Miami. Miami has really baffled me. Really has. Have
you talked to your boy at all?
Not a lot about football.
You should.
And not a lot of memes coming out of him about like there were before the season.
You know what? We in the next couple of weeks we need to figure out. I think we know how we can get this done. We need to have you interview Fowler and put it on the show and get a Miami fan's perspective of the 2019
What the hell
season.
is going on over there? They were so hot. And we warned him. We talked and we mentioned it in one of our first earlier episodes this season. Hold on, Miami. I realize you've got a recruiter out of Alabama, and you got Manny Diaz, who's an awesome defensive coordinator, and the turnover chain and how you got all these returning starters, new coach, new system, first year there. Pump the brakes. They're 2-3 right now. Virginia's coming to town, 4-1. Miami's favored by 2.
Give me the points. I think Virginia wins outright.
I think
no science there. That's just gut.
My gut tells me this is a make or break for Miami this year. I like Miami.
Okay, fair enough.
Colorado, Oregon. Oregon by 21. Give up the points.
I'm going to take the points, but I think Oregon wins.
South Carolina, Georgia. Georgia by 23.5.
Drop it.
I'm not going to drop. I'll say Georgia win. I'm not going to drop 23.5.
Okay.
Big one on everybody's radar, really. Oklahoma 6, Texas 11. At Texas, Oklahoma by 10.5.
Drop those points. Jalen Hurts, I'm telling you, I think he wins the Heisman. I don't care what. You got Tua and everything else. Think of that storyline. Think about those two being in New York City.
Oh, they're gonna be.
They're
gonna be.
I am high on Oklahoma this year. Incredibly high on Oklahoma. I say drop the points.
I think it's gonna be a wild one. It always is with those two. I can't drop it. I think Oklahoma wins, but it's gonna be a shootout. That's what I think. Michigan at your boy's place. At Illinois. Michigan by 22. Actually, we'll get that in a second. We'll get to the Big Ten. Memphis 23rd, 5-0. Memphis. At Temple. Temple's 4-1. You know the Temple that beat Maryland?
Yes.
Memphis by 5.5. I really don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna go out on a tiny limb here, and I'm gonna say Temple wins outright. Give me the points.
I'm gonna join you. Alabama at Texas A&M.
Drop the points.
Alabama by 17.
Drop the points.
At Texas A&M.
Drop the points. 12th man, that's cute. That's great. Drop the points.
Alabama. Yep. Alabama. I'm going to join you on that one. Florida State and the wildfire that's going on in Tallahassee versus Clemson at Clemson. Clemson by 27.
I'm struggling with the point spread. I think Clemson wins the football game. You know what? I'm almost inclined to drop those points because I think they are hungry and they have a message to send. They had a bye week last week, didn't they? Did Clemson play last week?
They might have, or was that their close one against? That was their close one.
The last game I remember them playing was a close game, but I want to say that was 2 weeks ago. I could be wrong.
I think Clemson will drop the points. I think they'll smoke them.
I think so.
Michigan State at Wisconsin. We'll get to that. It's Big Ten. Washington State at Arizona State.
Spread.
1. Arizona's 18th ranked. I upset here. I think Washington State wins this.
You're a big Leach fan. I'm gonna say drop the point.
Drop the point. You think Arizona State wins it? I think the Pac-12 is so screwy. I can see Washington State winning it. Cincinnati at Tankum, Houston. Cincinnati by 7.5. Drop the points.
Drop it.
Houston, that whole experiment, we're just going to drop. We're tanking the season. I think it's horse crap. Texas Tech at 22nd ranked, undefeated Baylor. Baylor by 10.5.
Baylor wins, does not cover.
Ooh, I like that. Texas Tech, I called them last week to surprise Oklahoma State, and they did.
I think they keep riding that. They don't win, but I think they cover.
Oh, one of my fellow officials on my crew is going to hate me for this. He's from Baylor. I have another Texas Tech is going to do it again 2 weeks in a row. Upset special.
City?
Upset City. USC, Notre Dame. Notre Dame by 11.
Drop.
It's at Notre Dame. I'm inclined to drop those points.
Drop it.
Louisville at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is undefeated, 5-0. Wake Forest by 6.5.
What's Louisville's record?
3-2.
They're going to be 3-3. Go ahead and drop the points.
I agree. Florida LSU, down in Bayou country. 7 versus 5, both undefeated. LSU by 13.5.
I know it's a different sport. I grew up near Rosenblatt. I have very fond memories of LSU fans. I know it's different when they come here. I know they're probably friendlier when they come here for the College World Series. We're gracious hosts. They always invited me for food. I have an affinity for LSU football or sports in general. I tend to root for them as long as it doesn't interfere with my fandom of the Cornhuskers. So I have blinders. I think they win. I don't think they cover.
I think so, too. But you know what? Florida surprises me. That's
riding. Why I think they don't cover. I'm not going to drop that many points against a Florida team that has overachieved this year.
I agree. I think LSU, but I won't. I'll take the points, but an LSU win. Utah at your boy, your former favorite coach.
Who?
Oregon State. Mike Riley's Oregon State Beavers, who knocked off Utah. Or not Utah. They knocked off
UCLA.
15th ranked Utah is favored by 14.5.
Again, we're talking about the Pac-12.
It's wacky.
They win, but they don't cover.
Agreed.
They win, but don't cover.
Hawaii at Boise State's 14th ranked 5-0. Hawaii's 4-1. Hawaii is 4-1.
Jet lag, travel, drop it.
13.5 Boise State. Boise State by 14. I agree.
Now we got Big Ten, yeah.
Now we have Big Ten.
Nitty of the gritty right now.
Michigan, Illinois. At Illinois, the Lovie-Smith experiment continues on. 22, yeah, I think Michigan will do it.
I think that this week, officially, they put the Illini on life support.
Well,
they're no longer breathing on their own. There's a machine doing the breathing for them. Drop the points. And officially, Lovey's boss is on the clock. Therefore, Lovey is on the clock after this week.
And it just gets better and better for your boys at Illinois. They play Wisconsin next week. We talked about it. We thought that the last gasp was against Minnesota for Illinois. They lost that 40-17. Now they've got Michigan, Wisconsin, and then it's Purdue. And I think that Purdue. We'll get to that in a couple weeks. That's a month down the road. But yeah, I like Michigan in that one. Rutgers at Indiana. Indiana by 27.5.
That's a lot of points, but Rutgers is a really bad football team. I like Illinois' offense.
Or Indiana's
offense. I think I'm going to drop the points. Until proven otherwise, Rutgers is a shit show.
Yeah. I have trouble with 27.5. I think an Indiana win, but I'm going to take the points. Just 27.5 with two traditionally crappy teams. Now, Rutgers is in a far worse situation than Indiana, but 27.5 on two reeling. Well, one horrible and another one you never know. It's at Indiana.
In B-Town? Yeah, I'm dropping the points.
Maryland at Purdue.
Drop the points.
Maryland by 3.5.
Drop the points.
Boom, you don't even let me finish before you...
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
All right, okay.
I'm dropping. And listen, it's a tough read on Maryland this year. It is.
They are so schizophrenic.
Reminds me of a team in Lincoln.
You know what? If they don't, I think Sindelar's out. I don't know what the jury is on Rondell Moore. I'm going to have to go Maryland, and Purdue starts to really sweat. Not Braum. I don't think he has to worry about his job at Purdue. Not this year. But I think that they really start to sweat down in West Lafayette. Ooh, that rhymed.
It did. Proud of you.
Michigan State at Wisconsin. You're going to see this is going to be a snot-flying fist fight.
A slobber knocker?
It is. It's going to be a fist fight. I respect Michigan State's defense.
I respect Michigan State's defense.
I've learned to respect Wisconsin's defense. Not their offense. Their defense has been quite impressive.
They've got a top 5 defense this year. It's going to be a fist fight.
10.5 for Wisconsin.
It's a one-sided fist fight because I don't think that – here's why. Michigan State can fight defensively, but I don't think they can put up a fight offensively.
They held with Ohio State a lot better than we did. Then the final wasn't as bad as ours, but they went into Columbus and fought with them for a while. Wisconsin, had a cupcake last week, but Northwestern fought with them and fought in that, hung around. 24-15 was the final in that one.
Right.
I just don't know. Wisconsin looks like a juggernaut but they can score at will or they have a tough time. It's just very weird. I think they're riding high. I like Wisconsin by 10, not 10.5.
Okay.
I like Wisconsin by 10. Penn State at Iowa.
Drop it. I don't care what the spread is.
35.
Drop it. I wouldn't drop 35. What's the spread?
3.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what? I rode Iowa last week. I was wrong. They only lost 10-3. You know what? That place is a snake pit. They're playing at Iowa. I'm going to go on a limb. This is the last time I'll bet on Iowa, but I think Kurt Ferentz, surprise, surprise, Penn State. Penn State had an easy walkover win over Purdue, an easy one. I think Iowa surprises and wins.
Fair enough.
So, speaking of crappy weather, snake pits, what have you, do you think this weekend's game, Nebraska-Minnesota, do you think the weather's going to play a factor? Should it? They're predicting it's going to be howling winds, snowing, and cold.
They both have to play the game in the elements.
Right.
So, no. I think it's going to come down to personnel. I think it's going to come down to grit. I think it's going to come down to execution. Whether or not you can...
You sound like every damn coach in America.
It's the truth. Now, there were some differing opinions this week. PJ Fleck was talking about how they were practicing with frozen footballs and wet footballs, and they were doing this and they were doing... You know how he likes to sell, right? And they're all doing things that they'll talk about after the game because there's some top secret stuff like Area 51 shit going on in Minneapolis. And then they talked to Troy Walters, and he was like, yeah, no. We're just practicing.
Yeah,
we told the guys it's going to be cold. It's a mindset.
This is a big game. I don't think it. If it's.
I think it plays around with what Frosty likes to do offensively.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that if it's howling winds, and I've been to a couple snake pits in the Big Ten. I've been to Minnesota. Cold. It gets cold up there. I don't think we're at the time of the year where it's super cold.
There might be snow.
There might be, but try Christmas time in old Minneapolis. See what it's like, son.
Oh, no. It gets colder.
I'm not too worried about it now. If it's howling winds and raining, like a wet snow, that certainly can play a factor in a game. You're looking at it. I think that this game, we'll get to the predictions, the preview of them completely, but I think it's going to be, you want to know where it's going to happen? The ground. The ground. Welcome to Big Ten football, son. It's the ground if you want to win this game. Go! It was colder than it was going to be this weekend, but look at the Michigan State game. That was the ground game. You had to get something going, maybe a big play here or there, but it's going to be the ground game. Speaking of ground game, Mo Washington has been cleared. He sat out last week. He was suspended. Now, Frost says that he looked good in practice. Water under the bridge. We're all set and ready to go. Mo's impact on this game. Now, we just spoke about the ground game. I like Dedrick Mills. I think he's a bruiser. He's shown some flashes. The last couple games he's taken care of the ball. That's a good sign. I think that Mo is going to this is going to be an impact for Mo. This has got to be a statement game for Mo. Good or bad. Take it how you want. I think for Nebraska to have a chance in winning this, he's got to play really well. That's what I think. No kidding. I mean, he's one of our stars, but I think this is a game where I think Frost said it. We need him for 4 quarters. 4 full quarters. Now, that does not mean, in my mind, I want your take on it, but that does not mean he's going to carry it 80% of the time. But he's going to have to be a guy that in the fourth quarter you look just as fresh and good as you did in the first half.
Has there been a game this year that we've seen him make an impact through 4 quarters of football?
No.
Not once.
No, I was going to lean towards the he had a great 4 full quarters is interesting. He had a good game against Northern Illinois. That was Northern Illinois, different team, different time, who's horrible, by the way. I think he's going to have a bigger impact than people think. This next section we're going to talk about, I think, is going to be really, I would say it's Co-1A for the keys to this game, what we're about to talk about, and that is the receivers and tight ends. You want? Well, you joked about milk cartons before the show. Now, I'm not going to go down this road of, no, they don't exist at all, but I'll tell you this much right now. I think that keys to the game as you look at this. I think a ground game A and 1A is going to be somebody aside from number 1 and number 10 catching the ball. I really do. Now, there's been whispers who have a guy I've been high on the whole season we haven't seen, and that's Cade Warner. Frost talked about it. Interesting enough, so did Troy Walters about how they asked Troy Walters this week, what do they like about Cade? What do you like about him? They call him what I've called him all along. He's reliable. He's a guy that he's basically a professor out there. He knows the offense in and out. He's looking good. He's looking like he's healthy again. Keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on the guys I don't know if I'd say you've complained about, but you're like, where the hell are they? The tight ends in this game.
Very unimpressive all year. There have been flashes. Stoll had flashes early, a couple big catches. But now it's
So is Austin Allen.
They get, and I think each of them recorded a catch last week or the week before, and that's they've dropped passes. I am not impressed. I am probably the least impressed from that room than any other room on either side of the ball for Nebraska. The tight ends have been the biggest disappointment to me all year long.
It's very odd because Becton talks them up like they just do great in practice. They perform very well in practice. I don't understand it, but the receivers and tight ends are going to play a huge role in this weekend's game. I really think so.
I certainly hope so. I do. I hope so.
Which leads us to I can't talk. The quarterback situation. Martinez is suited. He's going to suit. He's going to travel. Do you think he starts?
No. I do not think he starts. I think Noah Vedral starts. I think we even see some of the kid.
Oh, Luke McCaffrey?
I think we might see two quarterbacks. I don't think one of them is named Martinez. And I think this for a few different reasons. You asked me if I thought the weather was going to impact the game. In a sense, no. Will it impact the game of your stud quarterback? Might, even though he hasn't been seen limping off the field after practice. You're talking about a cold weather game and a guy who had his ankle tweaked. I tend to say we're going to try to muck this game up. We're going to try to keep it between the tackles, or when we bounce outside, we're going to have Mo or Wandale do it. I think this is a game that you don't want your stud quarterback out there if you don't have to have him out there. He can do some things I think that Noah Vedral can't, but from what we saw last week, I don't know how much of a step down it is to have Noah start this football game and play the whole thing. I don't know how much. I cannot stress this enough. I am not calling for a quarterback change. I am not saying Noah Vedral is the guy. I am a firm believer that Adrian Martinez is the starter of this team, the leader of this offense. But I am also a firm believer that he is suffering from a sophomore slump. Something's going on in between the years. He is not the same guy that he was last year. I think he's going to be okay long term. I think he'll work this out. I don't know how much of a step back it is to have Noah start this game.
Well, I think that's interesting. I think that, our friend, the coach, talks about sitting a kid maybe for a series and just let him catch his breath. And what are we seeing out here? A different perspective of what you're not seeing in there. Now, I think part of Martinez's problem, not to scapegoat, is receivers running routes and getting open. Line protection play, the snaps. These are certainly factors that you can't blame Adrian for. I think it's a great opportunity to have Adrian sit a game. Not because I sympathize with what you're saying on the slump, but I think this is a great tool and experience for them to let him sit and watch from the sidelines with the headset on, talking to Mario about what's going on here, what's going on there. Because I think at least at this point, what Noah does better, or at least seems to do better than Adrian this year, is running lanes open, take it, go. He just goes. That fumble, it was a horrible snap, but that fumble against Northwestern,
might have saved the football game throwing that out.
He didn't. He picked it up. He did look downfield. He did look downfield for receivers for about a second and said, "Nope, it's done. Get rid of it." It's that snap, go process that I think a better athlete is by far Martinez.
Yes.
When it comes to read, go, I think you got read, hesitate, too late. Well, I'm going to try to go now, and I get 2 yards. Where I think Noah has that quick snap down decision, go, and just there it is, go. where who knows? We've bantered you and I back and forth about is it. I joked with the Oracle when I took pictures up on Facebook and Instagram. I don't think this is a problem, but it's worth something at least mentioning on the show tonight. What if you've got a quarterback guru up in the box who's talking about the psychology? Who we all know, Mario Verduzco's the quarterback's coach, is big into psychology and big into the human brain and how it works. And he's down there teaching Adrian, go through your processes, read this, read that, and you've got a head coach who comes from an old school era who's like, take it down and run. Now you can clearly see in the Ohio Star, what was it? It was one of the games this year where they zoomed in on Frost and he's yelling at Adrian, run the ball. Maybe it's I don't think it'd be this, but is it worth entertaining that it's two different philosophies and it's throwing him off? Would you entertain that, Boom?
Yes. I would entertain that.
I don't think it's the overall problem, but I think it's something worth noting. And I think with Noah, man, that kid looks like a scrambler just naturally. He just go. I don't think he's got the physical tools that Adrian does, but I think he's like, the running lane's there, go.
In between the ears, I think he's a superior quarterback.
When it comes to running, he is. He's just like, go.
In between the ears in general, he knows this offense better than any player on that team.
But when you say in between the ears, I tend to think that I think there's too much going on upstairs with Adrian. I think it goes back to Scott saying this, Mario saying this, reading this, trying to look for that perfect play, trying to look for that perfect opportunity and hit a home run each time you're up to bat. I think that it's that. You're waiting on a perfect pitch here. I know it's a different sport, but the analogy is the same. You're waiting on the perfect route. You're waiting on the perfect – no, just go. Go. I like the idea of Noah starting. Again, I'm not calling for a quarterback change either, but I like it. A fresh look, a fresh perspective. Even if it's just for a game to calm the kid down. Let him get healed up too. Let him be on the headset the entire game with Frost and Verduzco. What are you seeing? What's going on out here? And if an emergency situation comes about and you need him, okay, well then so be it. I like the idea of Luke McCaffrey getting a look. This game's going to be an interesting one. Minnesota, to preview them, they have huge tight ends. They have a huge right tackle. They run more physical than people give them credit for. I still say, and we noted this in the first week, maybe against us, but they look unagile and slow on their offensive line.
They do. We
now they're huge.
Early.
They're huge on their offensive line. They're very big.
Well, and see, that's the thing. That I think works for this game only, to their advantage. Because the defensive line that they're playing against, their job is to fill holes. They do a little pass rush here and there, but it's not like the defensive line is really making huge impacts all the time. I mean, obviously, we were missing our best pass rusher in Khalil last week, but we have him back. But this offensive line, what they need to do, they don't need to be that athletic to do. Well, my boss actually brought something up to me yesterday. I had just clocked out, and he was like, "Man, I hate to do this to you right now because you just clocked out, but I have a question." I'm like, "What's up?" And he was like, "Have you thought about what the assignment or scheme is for Nebraska's 3-4 when it comes to containing or containment? You've got 3 down linemen. You've got 4 linebackers. You got a guy who shuffles out of the backfield. Well, you just lost your linebacker on set side because he's going to go along with whoever shuffles out. Generally, say it's JoJo. There he goes with the receiver. Well, then you lose, and I don't know all the schemes of Chin's
generally
3-4, but
generally speaking, it's an inside-out philosophy with the outside backer having the outside edge.
Right.
But if they blitz an outside backer and an inside backer, which they've been known to do, which all 3-4 teams do, it gets interesting. And sometimes it's a guessing man's game and it's a gamble. That's why that's the pros and cons of a 3-4. It's you don't know where it's coming from. However, if you guess wrong,
and I think we can agree, we've probably got I don't know the stats officially, I would say we probably have a top 50 defense, which is where we said they needed to be this year. I think they're on par with what we thought they needed to do this year.
I
think our offense is light years away from where we thought they would be this year.
There's a lot going on there. But my philosophy here,
with this matchup is that I think Minnesota can run the football fairly effectively.
Up and down, they're roller coaster, just like our quarterback play, just like our well, I won't say quarterback play. That's not fair. They had great success running the ball against Illinois. Not as good success as you'd think against their other opponents. They did somewhat against Purdue because Purdue's defense is horrible. Illinois' defense is behind Rutgers is probably the second worst defense, which is surprising because of Lovie Smith's background. Yes, they can run the ball. This is the key. That's why I think it's a key in the game. They've been suspect on it. Nebraska's been suspect on it. This is going to be whose head's on straight this Saturday. They do have a pair of excellent receivers at Minnesota. Who Lamar Jackson, I think CBS came out with an article having him number 17. Boom.
Well,
17th pick, first round pick,
which is neither one of us thought.
Well, I tell you how you can get on that. You can solidify that list or get yourself kicked down really fast. We're going to know this weekend because you're going to go up against Rashad Bateman. You're going to go up against. It's slipping my mind now. They have another one that's pretty good. Well, you're going to go up against him, kid, this weekend.
Well, and somebody that I think we might be overlooking when it comes to Minnesota is their quarterback. Believe it or not,
been a surprise, really. He has.
Well, I mean, a surprise. I'm looking at his stats right now. He's got a quarterback rating of 73.1, 27th best in the nation. Now, they've played Cupcake U. Let's keep this in perspective. They played Purdue, who does not have a very good defense at all right?
He was 21 of 22 in that game. That's why his status.
How about touchdowns to interceptions ratio, 13-3. 13 touchdowns. So what this tells me is he makes good decisions, or he has thus far made good decisions. Now, quality of the defensive backs that he's seen, has he seen a defensive backfield that is going to rival having to throw the ball to, pick your poison? You've got Cam Taylor-Britt, you've got Boodle, you've got Lamar, you've got a cast of guys who are playing pretty well overall, minus the Ohio State game, but it's Ohio State. We know how good they are. I think people are overlooking Minnesota's quarterback in this particular matchup. He's played pretty well. I think since becoming a starter, he's 9-2. The team is 9-2 since he took the helm as the starting quarterback.
They're susceptible to turnovers just like Nebraska are. This is a back and forth. This is really, I put on the post on YouTube, which, by the way, subscribe and follow us on that, please.
Please do.
Please share it. I put on there last week, rising tides, ships are sinking, or some are sailing. This is a game with two programs, rising star coaches, turning the program around, row the boat, or red burns brighter, however you want to look at it.
I like that.
And it really is, and this is a statement game. Minnesota's riding high at 5-0. Now, we can joke and quibble and laugh all we want about how they got to 5-0, but 5 dubs and 0 L's are 5 dubs and 0 L's.
A win is a win is a win.
Nebraska's sitting at 4-2. Mo Berry and several other players have made reference to the fact that Nebraska folks have not been to 5 wins. This is the third year. This is year 3.
This would be the first time in 3 years that Nebraska's reached 5 wins.
Yeah. Two programs. Say what you want. Are they the elite in the Big Ten? No, but they're trying to get there. This is a huge implications game. I think turnovers in the run game are going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Passing, if it's howling, like I said, you're going to have to pass some. I don't care if you want to go back to the 90s offense. You got to pass some. It's going to come down to Noah, or what we think to be Noah, in that ground game, and Cam. You sir, have got to fix those snaps.
We cannot. He was a dud for me again last week, and he's my boy. He's my boy. He is. I've been high on Cam since before the season started. He needs to fix it. It needs to be fixed now. Now. So
the game comes down to this: Minnesota wins if. What do you think?
Minnesota wins if Nebraska plays like they have played through 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Minnesota wins if Nebraska plays inconsistent football. Period. If Nebraska turns the ball over, if Nebraska has struggles on special teams, if Nebraska has a problem stopping the run at times, not to take anything away from Northwestern, And not that Northwestern had a wonderful or big game offensively last week, but I think we can both admit there were times where I was scratching my head going, man, they're running the ball pretty successfully. Their quarterback ran the ball somewhat successfully in the second half of that game.
If you notice that game, Alex Davis, the outside linebacker, number 22 for Nebraska, senior, he got burnt a couple times. They put Tanner in. They pulled him in the second half. That was all a read option, and he just went flying in there. You saw our boy, 44 Magnum.
44. By the way, that I would like to trademark that nickname if it happens to catch on. But dude is a bullet shot out of a gun. I'm telling
Garrett
you.
Nelson, number 44, outside linebacker for Nebraska, freshman.
44 Magnum Nelson.
He's a 44 Magnum. He will kill whatever he hits. But the problem is you don't know if he's going to hit your team, the wrong guy, the other team. He's incredible.
That kick last week, you had McCallum running in the opposite direction of the field goal. He was taken down in a dog pile. You want to know who caught him? 44 Magnum himself.
Garrett Nelson ran across the field and tackled him.
Sure as shit did.
They got us on a couple of bootlegs, and Tanner, the quarterback for Minnesota, can do a little bit of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they try a little bit of that.
That's what I mean. He's a very key factor.
Inside the tackles, Nebraska actually sewed it up pretty well. They did. Now, and it was
all in all, I would agree.
It was that outside run by the quarterback that scored their only touchdown of the game, and the only time they had success was that play. They pulled him, kind of stopped it a little bit. This is going to come down to the run game. To me, okay, you said Minnesota, that's how they win. How does Nebraska win?
Nebraska wins if they can figure out how to run the ball between the tackles. If the offense, Nebraska wins if Cam Jurgens can snap the ball properly. Nebraska wins if Dedrick Mills has success between the tackles, meaning the offensive line does its job and getting the defensive line for the Gophers off the ball. Honestly, that's it. And, okay, you know what? The third thing it's going to take for Nebraska to win this football game is for wide receivers or tight ends, doesn't matter which, can figure out a way to get separation. And by separation, I mean this. When you are actually lined up in one of the positions of a wide receiver, you can separate yourself from the defensive back, catch the football, and do something with it. I do not consider any of the spectacular things Wandale has been able to do, even Wandale as a receiver or wide receiver in any capacity. The big one last week was a shovel pass. All the stuff he's been doing that's spectacular has been him in motion, out of the backfield, and they've been swing passes or they've been a gadget play. It hasn't even been him really downfield.
Aside from the 23-yard reception against him.
Correct. I mean separation. I mean Noah needs to get separation. JD needs to get separation. Cade Warner, separation. Williams, whoever the hell it is. Maybe it's Stoll. Maybe it's Austin Allen. Somebody needs to get separation because the philosophy is what did they ask? What did they ask Tom Osborne? What he needed to do in order to beat Florida?
Stop the run game.
In this case, you want to know how you beat Nebraska? You shut down the pass and you load the box and you make Nebraska beat you in between the tackles.
Well, so Nebraska wins if they get that going. For me, Minnesota wins this game if they can get the in between the tackles run game going. I'm going to go in reverse order with you.
Okay.
If they can get a ground game going between the tackles, get that outside edge quarterback run game going, Nebraska's defense is going to be in a bit of trouble. I think that turnovers, and the coach speak of, turn the ball over and getting first downs. Here's a stat for you, and I haven't looked this up, and I should have, and I turned to the Oracle in the fourth quarter. Nebraska's offensive woes, for me, they start after we've watched 6 games now.
Yes.
First down.
Really?
Watch first down in Nebraska. Watch first down only. How many times do we get it for 1 yard, no yards, or a loss? How many times is there a penalty? First down for Nebraska. That, to me, you want a key to the game? I said between the tackles, right?
Yes.
First down.
Okay.
Run game. What are you doing? Our first down has been abysmal this season. Abysmal. We're behind the chains almost constantly.
That's probably a fair statement.
You watch first down. I said a couple weeks ago, against Ohio State, get 2 first downs, you'll be all right. We'll be in this. Well, that clearly didn't happen in the first 4 drives with 3 turnovers and a punt. This game against Minnesota, I say this. Watch first down. Especially in the first half. Watch first down. They're going to make a couple of plays. Their receivers are good for Minnesota. It's going to be a testy one. If Nebraska's offense can do well, and I'm not talking about bust huge runs open.
Right.
Get it to 2nd and 6. How many times have you seen Nebraska 1st and 15, first 15 after a penalty, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 11, and trying to battle out of that? First down.
I like it.
Is absolutely crucial. I've saved that one. You didn't even know I was coming with that one.
I didn't.
First down has been absolutely abysmal. We talk about the snaps. Yes, that's something to worry about. We talk about the lack of tight end play. Yes, that's something to worry about. But statistically, first downs. Do you remember last year? Let's put it this way.
I tried to forget about last year.
Defense could do pretty well for 2 plays, and on third down, our third down defense was just atrocious.
Yes.
Our offense's biggest problem to me, I've studied this for 6 weeks now, watch them on first down.
Okay.
Watch them on first down.
I'm not going to lie. I am slightly impressed. Not fully impressed. I am.
You'll never be fully impressed with me.
I am slightly impressed at your analysis there.
Yeah.
I am.
You watch first down. You want to know if Nebraska's in trouble? That first half, they don't get anything going on first down. We're in for a long one because we're going to need a turnover late in the last minute to beat them. Yes, turnover is important. Yes, they are keys to the game. But for Nebraska to stay in this and actually maybe even have a chance to win it, it's going to come down to first down in the run game between the tackles. Gadgets are great, and I'm not against them. And I'm not against the special things that Wan'Dale Robinson can do. When you get him in the open field, you get him on the edge and watch that kid. He's impressive. But it's also easy to spy him. It's also easy. He goes in motion, have a linebacker, no matter what he does, you hit him. Just go hit him. Somebody else going to have to step up. Watch first down. Okay, so with that, your prediction. What do you think? You folks, if you could have seen this, he has been. If you'd have talked to Boom last week or right after the Northwestern game, loss, not a chance in hell, loss for Nebraska. He wouldn't shut up about it. Now you can see the wheels turning in his head.
I'm struggling with this just because of Mo Berry, of a statement Mo Berry said. You brought it up. You brought it up to me off the air on Sunday, Monday, whatever day you and I got together. After the game, and you mentioned that number 5 and how Nebraska hasn't seen that number in a couple weeks, and Mo Berry was asked about it this week, about game prep and 1-game seasons and the bye week coming up, and if that was why it was important to win this game, and Mo Berry was like, no, we need number 5. It'd be the first time in 3 years that we got 2 5 wins. That's literally the only reason I have considered picking Nebraska to win this football game. I am not picking Nebraska to win the football game. Here's why. I think that Nebraska's close, but not quite there. I think not knowing whether or not JD, have we gotten clarity? Is JD going to play?
I'm not certain.
I don't think we have gotten clarity on that either. I think if we're walking into a game where we're trading getting back old reliable Cade Warner, but we're missing J.D. Spielman, that's not a trade I want to make any week of the season. I think if the game hinges on we have one weapon and his name was Wan'Dale, we are screwed. Especially if Adrian is not in there. By the way, Adrian's our leading rusher. So our leading rusher will not be playing if Adrian Martinez is not playing. I think that's a concern. I think that Minnesota, the ball has just bounced their way all year long. I am not saying they're a team of destiny. I am not saying they're going to win the West. I think that this game will expose them a little bit more than other games have. I think it comes down to something freakish, and I think Nebraska loses by a field goal. 3 points.
Okay.
So if the spread is more than
3, it's 7.5.
Take the points, but Nebraska suffers a heartbreaking loss.
It's hard for me to argue that. It's all logical. And my three factors: run game, first down. And what did I say the other one was? I said run game, between the tackles, turnovers and first down. Those are the three. Now, Nebraska, actually, believe it or not, has cleaned it up, the turnovers aspect of it. Had a couple of good weeks. As far as, Ohio State, yeah, they turned it over, but they didn't put it on the carpet. Fumbles have been the problem. Been the problem.
Correct.
I think that the turnover side of it, I think that if Nebraska can get a couple, I actually have Nebraska by a field goal in this.
Fair enough.
And by the way, I've also painted myself in the corner of all the teasing and joking and making fun of PJ Fleck I have no choice really, or I sound like a hypocrite. But I think that first down, man, to me is going to be everything in this game. Watch them on first down, watch the turnovers, and watch the run game between the tackles.
Schutzy, I want you to be right.
You always want me to be right when
I hope everybody understands that I am not picking because I'm a hater.
No, you're not a hater, and it's against logic because the problem is that we've seen such inconsistency on offense. But I truly think after watching, I watched every game a couple times, every one of them. You watch first down.
That's brilliant. I'm not going to lie. That analysis is brilliant. It's spot on.
And you watch it because I think that this whole offense of Scott's is predicated on we can do something vanilla as long as we get 3-4 yards. In the pros, I hate to do this, but in the pros, when they run the ball, Bill Callahan talked about it for years. What's a big run play for you? 4 yards, especially on first down. Oh, it's huge in the pros. Why is it so huge? Because it opens the playbook up so much. On 2nd and 6, what are they going to do? They're going to run? They're going to pass? They're going to go back to the ground game again for a couple more, and then really we're screwed on what they're going to do on 3rd and 2?
Go back 21, 22 years to when I was in high school, and when I played freshman year, the varsity coach preached to us that as an offensive line, we were responsible for 3 yards per carry, 3 yards per rush. Anything more than that was up to the running back, the quarterback, whoever was toting the rock. 3 yards per rush. 3 yards per rush means that if it's 4th down, it's 4th and 1 if you run the ball 3 times. So as an offensive line, we were responsible for 9 yards in 3 plays.
Don't get me wrong. Those snaps are part of it. That's a timing issue. The receivers' routes, that's a timing issue. Certainly. But overall, ground game and first down. Tom Osborne used to joke you'd always know Tom's first play of the game. You know what it was? Up the middle. It didn't matter who they're playing. Up the middle. He wanted to see what kind of hand he'd been dealt. The first series was, and most teams do this. It's not a surprise. It's scripted. But
let me ask you something. Do we see more under center this week than we did?
That's interesting. I don't know. I thought about that too and making that one of my keys.
Just because of the cold? Because of possible wind?
Maybe. I'd love nothing more than open up in the I formation.
Trap.
Oh, fullback up the middle, and just now part of that is us as fanboys drooling over the old days. I get it. I do.
We're the old guys.
The old get off my lawn, old guys running the football. But no, it's an interesting take. We'll see. I don't think that for comfort's sake, if you start getting wacky and crazy with, say it is Noah, like we think it's going to be, I think if you start throwing all this exotic stuff, it can go both ways. It can go, oh, hey, it's new and exotic, or it can say, we don't trust you with the original offense. We don't trust you with this or that.
How crazy is it that we're sitting back here in 2019 talking about how exotic the I formation is?
Well, I don't know. It would be great.
I get what you're saying, but it's like, how crazy is that?
Well, it's just a different time, and rightfully so. It's just a different time. I don't know.
I run hook and ladder first play.
Why not flea flicker? Triple reverse.
Flea flicker, triple reverse, hook and ladder. Noah passes it to himself.
And then runs for a touchdown.
Twice.
I think Nebraska by a field goal, that's what I'm comfortable with.
And I'm going the opposite.
It's turnovers. Or, I'm sorry, excuse me. I keep screwing it up. Ground game in between the tackles, turnovers, and first down. And that's what I think. Guys,
either one of us could be correct.
We talked about fitness. It is coming. It is coming up on Instagram. I ran into a buzzsaw this week. Was a little bit under the weather as well. Video is coming soon. We've been preaching this and preaching this. We've got some things behind the scenes we've been working on.
There are a lot of things. I really wished I could talk about them.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
And not because we're trying to be dramatic. We just honestly are trying to put things in motion that we're so excited for, but we want to have come to fruition before we announce them.
I will say this. We have expanded on row87.com from just talking about sports and the Huskers. I've been posting. It's Boomtober. I declared it Boomtober. It's my birth month. So Boomtober, all month long, Monday through Friday, we have the Back in the Day video play where I have selected a music video to help you get through select day of the week. Tomorrow I'll wrap up week 1. Sunday, I'll be hard at work after I finish working at work, and I'm going to go to my local Scooters, and I'm going to put together another 5 days worth of great music for you to listen to.
We'll all have a pitch count in that eventually. We're also looking for writers. We have a couple interests, couple bites. We're not going to go down that road yet.
But we had a brilliant article written by Ashley, who was kind of excited, I think, to finally write about something that wasn't sports related because she's not really a sports person.
It's all right. That's good.
So our managing editor, Ashley Morton, check it out, row87.com. Useless facts about the month of October. She dropped that on Wednesday. So check that out. Check out the website. Continue to come back. I'm going to have a review next week. There's going to be a review, as you know, Shutzy. I'm very fond of my mustache. I'm going to be trying out a new wax for the stash.
Sure, why not?
So we're going to be reviewing stuff like that. Do you know anybody who likes beer, Shutzy?
A couple people.
Well, if any of you who listen to the show like beer and like to try beers, maybe you could join our team and be our official Row 87 beer reviewer.
This eventually it's growing. It's going to be all encompassing. We're excited. We're looking for beer reviewers, concerts, comedy clubs, food, you name it, book clubs. We want it.
We want it all.
Get a hold of us if you have an interest. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Like us and subscribe and share, please.
Please share the show.
Please do.
We're not begging, but we are.
We know the potential of this show. It's exciting.
Well, and we know how faithful our listeners actually are.
Yep.
The folks that are listening are very faithful to us. Share our show, whether it's via, obviously we are on YouTube. Share it. Share our Facebook page and the posts that we have going on there. We are on Spotify. Let your people know that you can access us. And again, we have things in the works.
We do.
Very slight tease. That's all we're going to keep saying to you until there are announcements.
We're a couple weeks out on a couple of them, but we have some.
There are going to be some announcements, so stay tuned.
Hopefully a couple of yeses we're excited for. Really, we are. Going to be a wild one this weekend. Wild college football separation Saturday. We're going to see.
I'm excited.
I am stoked.
I think I haven't figured out where I'm going to watch the game yet, but I might go to a spot you and I frequent. I might see if I can find a couple of buddies.
Talk to your boy there. But
I think I'm gonna go to an old spot for me.
I'm gonna be at a class reunion, officiating football tomorrow, officiating football on the weekend, watching football on Saturdays, class reunion, all kinds of stuff. I'm busy. I'm slammed. With that, we're gonna come back. We'll have plenty of content. I am Shuts.
I am Boom.
We'll see you next week.